There is power in a story, and we all have a story. Our stories, if told, can inspire, encourage, and motivate. Hi, I am Rhonda, and welcome to the Book of Lives. Hi everyone, welcome to the Book of Lives. Today we're going to hear Dr. LaTarsha's amazing story. Doctor, welcome.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. So your story is extremely inspiring and amazing. You were 35 years old, 6 kids, uneducated and homeless. But today you are a politician, you are a community advocate, you are a writer, you are an international speaker. Tell me, at that point, a few years back, when you were perhaps at your lowest, you had a light bulb moment. Tell me about that. Tell me about that light bulb moment.
Oh my goodness. Well, back had been around 2007, so it's about 13 years now. When I found myself homeless in the streets of Atlanta with 6 children, I only had a GED and I had very little work history. And to be honest with you, I really wanted to go and hide somewhere. The embarrassment, the shame,
Yes.
I had dropped out in the 10th grade, had 4 kids by the time I was 22. And when a 10-year abusive marriage ended, I was just a shell of a person. I didn't know which way to go, left or right. So I find myself homeless when that came to an end. But what to me, I think I just realized I had 12 eyes watching me. And my heart went out to my children. I had 2 kids in high school, 2 kids in middle school, 2 kids in elementary school. So at that point, when I realized they was kids, they wouldn't know how to get themselves from here to there. I just knew I had to do something to change the trajectory of the way our lives was going. And so I made a vow that the streets was not going to raise my 6 children,
Mhm.
nor the jails was going to house them.
Yes.
I didn't really honestly, I didn't really know what liberation or freedom looked like. To be 35, I'm homeless with a poverty mindset. I
Mm-hmm.
think the mental shift was probably the hardest thing I had to overcome. But it was at that point we was living in a boarded up house as squatters. I knew I had to do something to save my family. And that was, I went back to the last place that I gave up. And so I remember I dropped out in 10th grade. And so here I am. The last time I was in anybody's school, I was 15. Here I am, 35, living in a boarded up house. And I decided to enroll in college.
And after enrolling in college, what did you do next? What other steps did you take? Because you took a lot of steps.
It was a lot. And it was a lot of unplanned stuff. But I think the more I started to, the more steps I took, even didn't know what the end result was going to be. It's like I started as a butterfly. It's like I started off as a little caterpillar,
Yes.
but slowly over time. But the journey got so hard. I mean, we talking about being homeless close to 4 years, and you trying to keep 6 people older for, from the drugs, the gangs, criminal activities, from dropping out of high school. It was a lot. So for me, I just remember when the journey got so hard. I walked into a hospital here in Riverdale, Georgia, and I told the lady at the front desk, I said, ma'am, I don't think I can do this anymore. She said, ma'am, are you saying you want to commit suicide? I said, yes, ma'am. And I wasn't raised in the church. I didn't have a relationship with God, but I knew I had to do something. So when they kept me for a week for observation, on that floor, they had a padded room. And I asked the lady at the desk, I said, ma'am, can I go into that room? She said, ma'am, you're no threat to anyone. I said, I know, but I need to go in there. And every day I was there in that hospital, I just dropped down to my knees and cried out to God, God, are you there? Please help me. I don't have anything. I'm scared and I'm lost. When they released me out of that hospital, things did not immediately change, but I knew something was different. And it was during that time I found myself matriculating through college with my associates, my bachelor's, my MBA. But when I got accepted to the PhD program, Lee, I did want to bungee jump up to heaven. and high five my man. I never saw that coming, but I made a vow, God, if you get me out of homelessness and hopelessness, I go back and fight for others. And that's how I ran for city council in the 2017 election. I just remember a quote that Nelson Mandela said, how could he enjoy the limited freedom that he had when his sisters and brothers was not free?
Yes.
And so for me, I felt like I had a moral duty to go back and fight for others.
So in all of this, did you have any support? Who was your support, if any?
I did, and that's what made the journey so hard. I'm born and raised here in Atlanta, so all of my family members was here. And no, I think in the beginning it was like maybe they thought I was crazy. To be homeless, we talking about shelter, cars, abandoned house, squatting. To be homeless, scraping up money for hotels. And here I am trying to go to school. I have all these kids, and I didn't. So I don't know whether people didn't help me because they thought it was a joke, or they didn't really see. Okay, she's trying, or they were just being plain funny. But no one helped, and I tell you, the rejection over and over from family. I've never did drugs, never drunk, never did anything wrong to anyone. I've just, I don't know, dropping out of high school in the 10th grade and having kids by 22. I don't know if people just wrote me off, but that to me, it was probably that was probably the hardest thing, just the humiliation of pushing and going through homeless. My kids, the older four, they was teenagers and middle schoolers. They wanted they wanted clothes, they wanted the stuff they see their friends have, but I couldn't give that to them. So I think the humiliation but I just kept going.
You kept going. I like that. Back home we have a saying, one dirty build dam, meaning one brick at a time and the dam is built. And I like the fact that you kept going one step at a time, one step at a time. You never gave up. I love your story because it is what I call a pit to the palace story. Absolutely beautiful. What lessons have you learned? That journey from there to now, what lessons have you learned?
Oh my goodness. First lesson I've learned: chase purpose and not perfection.
Yes.
I never waited until the time was right, which probably made a lot of people thought I was really crazy. First, just even to enroll in college when you're homeless, living in a boarded
Yes.
house, to run for city council, and I wasn't a part of that clique group. I wasn't a part of the influential group to be I just felt I had a moral duty to write books, to I'm now 13-time published author, to write books when I didn't have money to market, to push them out.
Yes.
I just wrote my books in silent, put them to the side. Whenever something else came up in my spirit to write on, I wrote it, self-published it, put it to the side.
Yes.
And here we are 13 years later, like you said, brick by brick, building in
Yes.
silence.
Yes.
I went from being homeless to a city council candidate in the 2017 election, from a GED to a doctorate degree in leadership studies, and now 13-time published author. I'm on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. I have children's books, a youth series for young adults that's teach on sex trafficking, teen dating violence, bullying, love and forgiveness. My life story, no longer lost, from homelessness to overcomer. I just released my leadership principle book for emerging and aspiring leaders in ministry and in the marketplace. Go to my website, www.drlatasha, LATARSHA Holden, HOLDEN. So that's www.drlatashaholden.info, INFO. And you can email me at LaTarshaHolden@yahoo.com.
You recently published a comic book. Tell us about that.
My first comic book, the Light Shall Rule, is a Christian comic book. The characters are African American, and we have a Latino, so I wanted to show love to the African American Latino community. And so, my Black Jesus on the back. So, when we went on lockdown in April of this year, I wanted a creative way to just encourage people.
Yes.
I wanted a way to something out of the ordinary to send a positive message that no matter what people are going through in their individual lives,
Yes.
God is with us. And so that's how I created the Light Shall Rule Christian Coming.
Amazing, amazing. You also started an organization called Phoenix Rising. The name alone is inspiring. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's my a business I started this year where I'm Phoenix Rising. I'm trying to inspire others that they have the power to rewrite their story. So
Yes.
Phoenix Rising is a leadership and empowerment and personal development company. So it's through I sell personal development books. I'm an inspirational speaker. I do empowerment coaching. So basically, it's Phoenix Rising focused on empowerment, leadership, and personal development. And so I'm just trying to encourage and inspire and empower others that they too can change the narrative for their lives as well.
That is so important. I like the fact that after going through your journey, you go back to help others go through theirs. That is absolutely beautiful. What advice would you like to give this generation? Given all that you have experienced, all the wealth of knowledge you've acquired, what do you want this generation to know?
There is no competitions when you are being authentically you. When you've been authentically you, there is no competition. So be free to be whoever God is calling you to be, and for me, that's where freedom comes from me. Because it's one thing once I liberated my 6 children, and I have to say, Thanksgiving was special to me this year because I'm 48 years old and God has allowed me to see all of my children 18 and over. So, I mean, I don't know whether sometimes I'm still in all that. I can't believe that I have grown adult children, serving in military, college students, authors, in the medical field. So, but that's why I want to tell whoever's watching, there is no competition when you've been authentically you. That means that gives you the freedom to be who you are. You don't have to look at the runners to your right, the runners to your left, because when you're running in your lane
Yes.
and being who you are authentically,
Yes.
there's no competition. No one can beat you at being you.
Yes, yes. That's amazing advice. Thank you so much for spending these few minutes with us. I truly appreciate it. Best of wishes and luck in all your endeavors.
Thank you, pretty lady, for having me.
And for those of you who are watching, thank you so much. Until next time, stay inspired.